My girlfriend mocked me for attending weekly therapy and insisted I stop. I left her to protect my mental health. I'm a 28-year-old man, and for most of my adult life, I've quietly battled bouts of anxiety. It's never been debilitating, but enough to make me feel unsettled in everyday situations. Restless nights, a tightness in my chest whenever I faced big decisions. About a year ago, I decided to seek professional help, attending weekly therapy sessions that truly helped me cope. Each visit gave me practical tools, a sense of grounding. I felt steadier, more confident handling life stresses. Then I met my girlfriend. We clicked fast, drawn by a mutual sense of humor, shared hobbies, that spark of attraction. At first, she seemed supportive of my therapy. We didn't discuss it extensively, but I didn't hide it either. She'd sometimes drive me there, wait in the car, or read a book at a nearby cafe. She asked vague questions about what therapy was like. I gave honest, if cautious, answers. Part of me was happy that she wasn't spooked by the idea. A lot of people, I've learned, carry misconceptions about therapy. So I figured, great, she accepts this part of me. But cracks appeared once we got more serious. She'd say things like, "You don't really need therapy, do you? You seem fine," or "I've never understood why people pay someone just to talk." I tried explaining it was about managing anxiety, gaining perspective, that it wasn't just idle chatter. She'd shrug, half listening. At first, her remarks felt like mild skepticism, not direct hostility. I tried letting it go, thinking she'd come around once she saw how beneficial it was for me. However, as time went on, her tone shifted from casual teasing to pointed mocking. One evening after I returned from a session, she smirked and said, "Did your shrink fix you yet?" Her sarcasm stung. I attempted to laugh it off, but my chest felt tight. She began making jokes at my expense, calling me delicate or needy. If I got anxious about something small, like being in a crowded event, she'd roll her eyes. "Well, you spend enough on therapy. Shouldn't you be cured by now?" I felt an unease creeping in. Therapy was supposed to be a private, sacred space for me to untangle my issues without judgment. The last thing I needed was her negativity overshadowing the progress I'd made. But at that point, the mocking was occasional, not constant. I rationalized it as her not fully understanding mental health. Maybe I told myself I should talk to her in more detail, help her see why therapy was important. We had a serious conversation where I explained my background, how anxiety had lingered in my life for years. I recounted a few childhood stories, moments of inexplicable fear, nights spent wide awake, mind racing. Therapy gave me tools, grounding techniques, journaling, ways to approach panic triggers. She listened, arms folded, face unmoved. Then she asked, "But can't you just talk to me instead of paying a stranger?" I tried to clarify that therapy wasn't just venting. It was guided by trained methods, that a professional has insights friends or partners can't always offer. She huffed, "Sounds like a scam. People did fine for centuries without therapy." That phrase cut me. It diminished my legitimate struggles and my efforts to address them. But in the moment, I tried to keep calm, hoping her ignorance would ease if I stayed patient. Soon, though, her remarks grew nastier. She'd wait for me to come back from a session, then greet me with sarcastic lines like, "So how was your pity party? Or did it tell you to breathe again?" She'd do this especially if we had an argument, as if mocking my anxiety made her feel superior. I felt my shoulders knot up whenever therapy day approached, my safe space overshadowed by dread at how she'd react. It was ironically fueling more anxiety, the very thing I was working to combat. One pivotal weekend, we attended a small get-together at an acquaintance's house. During casual conversation, someone asked me about my hobbies. As I described a typical week, work, volunteering occasionally, and therapy sessions, my girlfriend interrupted with a mocking laugh, blurting, "He's in therapy because he thinks he's broken." The group fell silent, uncertain how to respond. My cheeks burned. Therapy was my own business to share or not, but she just outed it publicly with a condescending tone. I saw confusion or pity in a few eyes around the circle. Later that evening, I confronted her privately. I told her how humiliating it felt to be outed like that. She rolled her eyes again, calling me too sensitive and saying they'd have found out eventually. We argued in hushed, angry whispers. She insisted, "You need to just get over this therapy obsession, that normal people handle life without paying someone to listen." Her words left me breathless. She wasn't offering critique, but outright condemnation of a process that was saving me from deeper emotional distress. From then on, the situation only worsened. She began complaining that my therapy was a waste of our time, that it was draining money we could be saving. Except I covered those bills entirely from my personal budget. She'd also questioned the ethics of therapy. They just want you to keep coming so they can keep charging you. I tried explaining that my therapist was a licensed professional whose approach was goal-oriented, but she refused to hear it. One day, her hostility escalated to a direct demand. "I want you to quit therapy." Immediately, she stood in the living room, arms crossed, voice unwavering. I stared at her, shocked. "Quit? Therapy helps me manage my anxiety. I'm in a better place mentally now than I was a year ago." She snapped, "If you can't function without therapy, you're weak. I can't be with someone who can't handle life on their own." My mind reeled at how she twisted the narrative. Therapy was me taking control, not being controlled. But she spun it as a deficiency, an embarrassment. I tried to reason with her, explaining mental health was as valid as physical health, that we don't shame people for seeing a doctor for an injury. She scoffed, "That's different. Mental stuff is intangible. You're basically paying for illusions." My frustration soared. She'd always carried a bit of vanity, a sense that her worldview was correct, but I never imagined she held such contempt for mental health care. The thought of leaving therapy tore at me. I needed those sessions to keep my anxiety in check, to maintain a balanced life. But evidently, she believed my seeking help made me beneath her. As the argument raged, she threatened, "If you insist on continuing, maybe we should reconsider this relationship. I won't watch you throw money away on pseudoscience." Her arrogance stunned me. She'd never studied psychology, never tried a session herself, yet she spoke as though an expert. More importantly, she was giving me an ultimatum, her or therapy. My heart thumped. We were engaged, for crying out loud. But that ring meant nothing if it required me to forfeit my emotional well-being. That night, I lay awake, grappling with a sense of betrayal. She was supposed to love me, yet she ridiculed a vital part of my routine that kept me steady. Could I truly walk the rest of my life with someone who found my mental health journey a punchline? The next day, I tried a calmer approach. I told her we needed to talk about her ultimatum. She shrugged, as if bored by the topic. I gently but firmly explained that therapy wasn't optional for me. It was self-care. I painted a picture of the months before therapy: sleepless nights, constant worry, the feeling of drowning in everyday tasks. I told her how therapy helped me navigate stress, develop coping mechanisms. She barely blinked. "You're over-dramatizing. People deal with stress all the time. I do too without therapy." She leaned back, crossing her legs. "So you choose therapy over me, is that it?" The question hung in the air. I asked her if she truly believed those were the only two options. She nodded, coldly certain. My chest tightened. If this was how she valued my well-being, seeing it as a trivial hobby, then maybe she never truly respected me. I told her I didn't want to lose her, but I wouldn't give up therapy. She snorted, "Then I guess you've made your choice." In the days that followed, the atmosphere was toxic. She'd greet me with snide remarks like, "Going to your therapy cult today?" Or, "Don't forget to confess all our argument so the therapist can blame me." The mocking stung, but also revealed how little she cared for my emotional peace. One evening, she tried to stage an intervention, inviting me to watch some documentary that supposedly exposed therapy as a scam. I refused, telling her I wasn't interested in her propaganda. She stormed out, shouting that I was brainwashed. Finally, one morning, I woke to a text from her. "Decide now. Either you call and cancel your therapy sessions for good or I'm gone." My chest hammered. I stared at my phone, reading the words again and again. She'd hammered the final nail, a direct, no-nuance ultimatum. My phone buzzed again with another message. I can't marry someone so dependent on nonsense. Right then, clarity struck. My mental health wasn't nonsense. Therapy was the scaffolding that kept me functional. The more I read her messages, the more I felt a wave of relief overshadow the heartbreak. I could never thrive in a relationship with someone who saw mental health care as worthless, who ridiculed me for seeking professional help. Her ultimatum ironically freed me from the illusions I'd clung to, that we could reconcile our differences if I just explained enough. She'd shown her true colors in a final, blinding flash. I dialed my therapist's office, but not to cancel, only to confirm my next appointment. Then I composed a short text. I won't stop therapy. If that means we're done, so be it. I wish you well. My hand shook as I hit send, but a strange calm followed. Her response was immediate, a barrage of insults, culminating in fine. We're over. You're a lost cause. That sealed the deal. The engagement was off. Breaking off the engagement was simpler than I feared. We had no major shared assets, no mortgage or joint accounts. She tried demanding compensation for wedding deposits she'd made. I told her she was free to keep them or handle cancellations herself. I wasn't about to argue over money with someone who disrespected me so thoroughly. She threatened to shame me publicly for chickening out of marriage. I told her I had no interest in trading insults. Her threats had lost their sting. She left in a huff, tossing the engagement ring onto the kitchen counter. I watched her walk out, a swirl of relief and sorrow swirling inside me. Some mutual acquaintances, since we didn't share many close mutual friends, caught rumors that we'd split. She must have told them I had emotional issues, painting me as a fragile person she had to escape. I shrugged off the rumors. My therapist reminded me I didn't owe anyone a justification for taking care of my mental health. If people believed her side, so be it. The important thing was I'd parted ways with a partner who belittled my therapy at every turn. Ironically, after the breakup, my anxiety improved. Freed from daily tension and scorn, I felt lighter. I kept attending therapy, talking through the breakup's emotional toll. My therapist pointed out how vital it was that I recognize this controlling aspect early. Imagine if we'd actually married. The sense of near miss gave me chills. I realized I'd almost pledged myself to someone who viewed my mental well-being as a flaw to be fixed or eradicated. A few weeks later, I heard from a coworker that my ex tried to call me out on social media, labeling me overly sensitive, claiming therapy was a crutch for lazy minds. Instead of fueling my anger, it reinforced how misguided she was. I remained silent, letting her words reveal more about her than me. Gradually, her hostility faded from my life, overshadowed by my relief and renewed sense of self. Now, months down the line, I continue to attend therapy weekly. My anxiety isn't magically gone, but it's manageable. I've learned coping strategies that let me function and even thrive. I look back on that relationship as a lesson. No matter how strongly you love someone, if they degrade your efforts to maintain mental health, it's a deal breaker. And while heartbreak lingers, so does gratitude that I discovered her contempt for therapy before it was too late. For those who wonder if I regret giving up on a near marriage, the answer is no. A real partner would support me in seeking help, not mock me for it. A strong relationship fosters each other's well-being. My ex's scorn for therapy clashed violently with my reality. So I left, refusing to sacrifice my mental health on the altar of someone else's misguided ego. And I stand by that decision wholeheartedly.